I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Terrence Crawford. I mean, skill-wise, I think he's a better fighter than Canelo.
With Crawford going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
Terrence Crawford just went off on Canelo Alvarez live on television, explaining why he thinks he's the better fighter. Crawford stated that while Canelo may have the size and power advantage, he has the edge in speed, reach, and, most importantly, talent. He boldly stated that Canelo's past opponents were not as powerful or skilled as him, but he did not mean any disrespect to them. Crawford also addressed people's worries about him fighting Canelo, stating that they are exactly what motivates his resolve. He recognized Canelo as a tremendous fighter, but stressed that his precise technique and adaptability set him apart from the pack. Crawford thinks he can outbox Canelo in the ring, whether the bout takes place or not. Crawford is letting everyone know he is prepared for the task.
I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not.
Kovalev was older. He does.
Billy Joe.
Don't get me wrong. He does have a lot of power, but all those guys that you name is not as skillful as me. I'm sorry. No disrespect to none of those fighters. The skill level is not there.
So how do you see a fight with Canelo go?
It's a tough fight. Canelo is a great fighter. Like, I always had respect for Canelo, but I just believe in my skills. The fact that people doubt me, it just fueled me even more. Try to get the fight even more. And I'm watching him, I'm like, man, I can beat this dude. I've been fighting people bigger than me all my life, and I always came out on top. You gonna get hit. It's a fight. He gonna get hit too. It'll be good.
Jeff Mayweather reviewed the impending fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, highlighting the differences in their styles and what it would take for Crawford to win. According to Mayweather, Crawford has the advantage in terms of skill, but Canelo is a dominant force in his weight class, making the task much more difficult for Crawford, who would need to produce a near-perfect fight to win. One crucial point Mayweather made was that both fighters are aged, and it's unclear when either will begin to decline. While both remain among the world's best pound-for-pound fighters, the question of who is closer to their peak might have a significant impact on the result. A slight dip in sharpness from either boxer could be the deciding factor in a highly competitive fight.
Terrence Crawford. I mean, skill-wise, I think he's a better fighter than Canelo, but Canelo is also a great fighter but he owns that weight class that he's in. So, I would just say that I think that Crawford has to fight almost a perfect fight to win, and take advantage of Canelo's mistakes.
Mayweather thinks Crawford has a chance to win because of his better skill set and ability to capitalize on Canelo's mistakes. Yet, he also admits that it may be a razor-thin bout in which Crawford might win by decision or lose by a narrow margin. Crawford faces a major task in going up multiple weight classes, but if he can keep his pace and technique while dealing with Canelo's power, he has a legitimate chance of winning. Finally, the fight would come down to action. Canelo's experience in higher weight classes gives him a physical advantage, but Crawford's boxing IQ and adaptability may enable him to overcome it. If the fight takes place, it will be a fascinating test of skill versus size, with Crawford having to outbox and outthink Canelo throughout 12 rounds to win.
Both guys are aging, and you never know. You never know when they're going to show their age. So, it could be either one of them that does that. But, I mean, I just lean to a Crawford because I just see dude has so many skills. And I mean, I just see that him possibly winning the fight by decision, but could also lose a close decision.
Teddy Atlas had an intriguing viewpoint on the forthcoming Crawford-Canelo fight, emphasizing the historical aspect of boxing in which smaller, More skillful fighters have rarely outmaneuvered larger, stronger opponents. He agreed that many people were beginning to think Terence Crawford could be the uncommon small person who defeats a great big guy, as was the case in the past when catchweights were more prevalent. Atlas questioned whether people were misinterpreting Canelo's size. Instead of seeing it as an insurmountable disadvantage, he suggested that Crawford's knowledge, slickness, and speed could be the key to victory. Could he be too quick, smart, and skilled to let Canelo use his bulk and power? That is what fighting should be about. The science of hitting without being hit, not physical force.
We believe we had the Crawford. It looked like we had the Crawford. We were talking about that. Can a really great small guy beat a really good big guy, you know? We were getting into that mind frame again. Some people were saying, oh, Canelo's too big, forget it. But we were getting into the right mind frame, the right with this great, sweet science, with this sport that goes back longer than any other sport in the world, where catch weights used to be in the 20s to 30. Little guys beat big guys, and it wasn't that unusual. So we were starting to get into that frame of thinking. Okay, can this great guy Crawford, can he, instead of looking at it as a disadvantage that Canelo is so big?
He drew a strong analogy. Boxing should not be reduced to bullfighting, in which the matador eventually slaughters the bull. Even though it is rare, the bull can occasionally outmaneuver the matador. That was what drew my interest in this bout. People were beginning to think it was conceivable. However, Atlas alluded to his dissatisfaction with the sport, claiming that, just as boxing generates interest, something always appears to derail it. He didn't say exactly what, but his sentiments echoed the sport's past of squandered chances and politics standing in the way of fantastic matchups.
That maybe he'd be too smart, too slick, too quick, you know what I mean? Too special in those areas, not to allow Canelo to use his size and his counterpunching and everything else. And that's what the sweet science is about. You know, it's not supposed to be just about, letting a bull run out into the bull ring and then wait until the matador puts a spear in. It's supposed to be about the bull actually having a chance to outslick the matador, which don't happen too often. So now we were starting to get into interesting grounds. Okay, people were buying into it. Yeah, okay.
Conor Ben's take on Crawford versus Canelo emphasizes the razor-thin margins in this forthcoming fight. Ben thinks Terence Crawford's excellent skill set, versatility, and ring IQ allow him to dominate anyone weighing between 150 and 160 pounds. However, when it comes to Canelo, the equation changes. Unlike his opponents, Canelo is not only powerful. He is also highly talented, experienced, and has fought against some of the world's top fighters. Ben is basically suggesting that while Crawford's technique gives him an advantage over most competitors in that weight class, Canelo presents a different type of challenge. Canelo has proven that he can handle slick, technical boxes and has the ability to change a fight with a single strike. Crawford, on the other hand, is more than just a powerful puncher. He is a master technician who wins fights with intelligence, precision, and plan. This is what makes the fight so intriguing. It's not just about size or power, but also about who can best execute their plan.
With Crawford going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is...
Canelo. Yeah.
Oh, Canelo. I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power. And then Canelo, when he's fought Belenga, then fought Ryder, Munguia. It's even. I think it'd be a 50-50 fight if Crawford fought Canelo.
Joe Rogan commended Saudi Arabia's input on boxing, highlighting Turki Alalshik's role in bringing elite boxers together for long-anticipated fights. He admitted that Saudi Arabia has advanced the sport by organizing the biggest fights despite traditional barriers such as promotional disputes or network problems. Rogan also stated that he thinks Terence Crawford has the ability to overcome Canelo Alvarez, dismissing worries about weight classes. Crawford's talent level is so great that he can overcome any physical limits. Boxing, according to Rogan, is about skill, precision, and strategy, not just size and power. He feels Crawford holds those skills at a high level, allowing him to handle a larger opponent such as Canelo. Crawford has continually showed his ability to adapt to any style, outthink his opponents, and execute faultless game plans in the ring, whereas Canelo is a seasoned champion who has fought against great fighters. Rogan thinks Crawford's technical dominance is the most important issue. In his opinion, the weight differential is less important than the talent gap, making Crawford a legitimate threat in this bout.
When you look at the elite of the elite boxers, to a man, to every one of them, they're disciplined. And they stay focused. I'm so excited to see this fight with Canelo Alvarez because I think the Saudi Arabians have so much money. They're throwing so much money at boxing. And the guy who's the head of boxing over there wants to make that fight happen. I think Terence Crawford, forget about the 3 weight classes. I think he could beat Canelo.
I think he can too.
Eddie Hearn outlined the difficulty of organizing the Canelo versus Crawford fight, stressing schedule as a major obstacle. He explained that, while an agreement was in place for the fight, it had not been finished for May, and Canelo preferred to fight on his usual Cinco de Mayo weekend due to the few choices available. Canelo's aim changed to becoming undisputed. He said that a Crawford fight would be significantly more important if Canelo entered as the undisputed champion at 168 pounds. He stressed Crawford's historic bid for a third undisputed title, which would establish his boxing legacy.
One of the issues around the whole situation was they'd agreed the Crawford fight, but they hadn't agreed a May fight, and Canelo wanted to fight in May. And there aren't really a lot of options, but by beating Skull, you can become undisputed. And I feel like the fight with Crawford as an undisputed fight is pretty cool because Crawford's undisputed at 47 and 40, and he could become a 3-division undisputed champion.
Edgar Berlanga discussed the forthcoming battle, adding that in boxing, anything may happen. He accepted Crawford's place as a sporting great, known for his tremendous skill, intelligence, and adaptability in the ring. Berlanga stated that Canelo's one real edge in this bout is his size. He is naturally the bigger fighter, which may play a part in the matchup. However, when it comes to boxing principles, Berlanga thinks Crawford has an advantage. He highlighted Crawford's technical skills, high ring IQ, and general skill set, implying that Canelo has a clear advantage in those areas. While Canelo is a great fighter with extensive experience, Berlanga thinks Crawford is more complete in terms of movement, accuracy, and fight plan. Berlanga's viewpoint emphasizes the notion that size alone does not decide the result of a fight. He realizes that Crawford's talent level may allow him to overcome the weight differential, making the bout extremely competitive. Ultimately, Berlanga respects both fighters, but thinks Crawford has more technical skill, making this a far more balanced bout than some may think.
My good friend, my brother, Terence Crawford, wants to fight Canelo.
Yeah.
Just from your expert opinion, knowing how Canelo fights, what he's like in the ring, I know you haven't been in the ring with Terence, but what do you think of that fight?
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that favor Canelo is that his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't count him out. You know what I'm saying?
Stephen A. Smith spoke on the notion of a fighter jumping up 3 weight classes and gaining 21 pounds to meet Canelo Alvarez, saying that such a move is far too tiny. He made a stunning analogy to the film Rocky IV, in which Apollo Creed competes against Ivan Drago, a fighter who is physically superior in every way. This analogy underlines the extreme difficulty and probable mismatch that comes when a fighter attempts such a huge weight class jump. Just as Apollo's battle with Drago appears hopeless from the beginning, Smith's words show doubt regarding the viability and fairness of such a matchup, implying that it could be more about spectacle than competitive balance in the same sentence. Smith also addressed Terence, but Crawford told him to let it go, describing Crawford's continued chase of the Canelo bout as impractical, maybe clutching onto an unachievable ideal. The underlying message is that Crawford, despite his extraordinary talent, would be better off focused on other attainable goals rather than pursuing a bout with someone who is not only a weight class higher, but also a far larger physical force. Smith's statements stress the significance of knowing one's own limits in the goal of excellence.
Let me tell you what I think should be going. The notion that Terence
Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life. And he kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Apollo couldn't do it and lost fight number 2. Trained him for fight Rocky 3 and then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go. Too small.
Carl Froch recently commented on the forthcoming fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, and he has strong feelings about it. Froch points out that Crawford, who has previously fought at lightweight, would face a huge hurdle moving up 3/8 divisions. He thinks it is a major worrying for Crawford, saying that the transition from lightweight to super middleweight is more than just fighting a bigger opponent. It also involves coping with the significant size difference. Froch says that, while Crawford is 37 years old and Canelo is 35, both fighters are nearing the twilight of their careers, which may limit their ability to adjust to the weight change. As fighters age, it becomes more difficult to lose weight and compete in a higher weight class. Nonetheless, Froch emphasizes that this isn't the main problem. Crawford is not struggling to lose weight for this bout. Rather, the real problem is the lack of a rehydration provision. Without this condition, Canelo, who will weigh 168 pounds, will most certainly rehydrate overnight and enter the ring weighing more than 175 pounds or nearly 14 stone, in British words. Froch believes that Crawford will not have the same physical advantage because he would be fighting an opponent who is not just heavier, but also more powerful as a result of the weight gain. This size difference, Froch believes, may be a huge concern for Crawford, making the fight look exceedingly imbalanced. In Froch's view, this battle is about Canelo's big physical advantage rather than Crawford's technique, and it's tough to see how Crawford could overcome such a significant disadvantage. In the ring,
3 weight divisions, 2 or 3 weight divisions, for me, it's a big issue. He's not a bigger man. I mean, he's 37 years old, Canelo's 35. They're both sort of at the end of the careers. Crawford, I'm not going to say he's old, so that's going to be a major problem, because as you're older, you do want to step up the weight divisions because it's harder to take weight off. Neither of these guys are taking weight off, so that's not an issue, but there's no rehydration clause. And the issue with that is, for me, is the fact that Canelo can weigh whatever he wants the next day. So he's going to get down to 168 pounds super middle, and he's probably going to be getting in the ring way over 175 pounds, the light heavyweight limit. He'll be up at, like, in English money, it's going to be up at like 14, maybe towards 14 stone. And there's no way that Terence Crawford's going to be that heavy. He's going to be coming up to 168, and it'll only be a few pounds.
Carl Froch continues to examine the forthcoming fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He acknowledges Crawford's amazing achievements in the sport and hails him for staying unbeaten and winning titles at least 2 and possibly 3 levels. Crawford's legacy as a 2-time undisputed champion, mixed with his dominance at all levels of competition, make him a remarkable fighter. According to Froch, however, Froch points out that Crawford is nearing the conclusion of his career and is daring to test himself by going on Canelo Alvarez. Froch recognizes the importance of this fight for Crawford's legacy, saying that it is a chance for Crawford to further secure his position in boxing history, but the challenge is enormous. Canelo is not only younger but also considerably bigger than Crawford and has far more ring experience, making the issue even more tough. Froch points out that there is no rehydration clause in existence, which means Canelo may enter the fight much heavier and stronger than Crawford. While Froch admires Crawford for taking on this job, he wonders if it's a step too far. This is a fight between 2 great athletes who have vanquished nearly everyone in their way, but Froch also points out that Canelo has lost before, demonstrating that even the best can be defeated. This fight, while significant, is certainly a difficult mountain for Crawford to climb. A former undisputed 2-weight champion stays unbeaten. I guess he's too undisputed. Let me know in the comments. You always correct me if I get it wrong, but he's unified the divisions to at least 2, even 3 divisions. He's been a world champion So this is a guy that's unbeaten and dominated at virtually every level, but he's now at the end of his career and he's daring to be great. This is a fight that will really secure and seal his legacy, but he's taken on Canelo Alvarez, 2 years younger, bags of experience, and a lot bigger with no rehydration clause. This is a mountain to climb. That's all for today's show. Stay tuned.